Evil is lurking in the dark corners of New Orleans, Louisiana. From the vampires suspected of walking the French Quarter at night to those worshiping Satan and practicing voodoo, the spirits are alive in the Crescent City, walking amongst us, some of which are hiding in plain sight, and an unsuspecting tourist gets lured into the darkness and doesn't make it out alive. This week, there's blood on Bourbon Street, and the hunt is on for those killers who walk amongst us. I'm Jen, and you're listening to another episode of Two Crime Newsies.
Hi, I'm Tina.
What?
Just waiting for you to do your listener warning.
There are some crazy things in this episode. I think it actually gave Tina some nightmares, probably.
It was not fun. If you are one of those people like myself who likes to steer away from bringing darkness into their home and their life, this one might not be for you.
Maybe this is why in one of the last episodes we were talking about that I'm a Slytherin, and Slytherins like dark stuff. See, Tina, it works.
You're the happiest and sweetest little Slytherin to ever, to ever live.
To ever live. I'll take that. Well, before we get started, I also want to say thank you to a listener of ours who suggested we cover this story. I want to say this means the absolute world to us that you reached out and suggested this show to us for one of our episodes.
Do you know who that listener was?
No, I don't.
It was my cousin, Layla.
Hi, Layla.
Thank you for telling us about this episode. I texted her and you after watching this episode last night, and I told both of you that I felt like I needed to cleanse my soul.
I bet.
After watching it. And immediately, I had to turn on some church music. I needed the light to come flooding back into my soul, and it worked.
It
did. Listener warning again. Aunt Sylvia, if you're listening, this warning is for you. She likes to listen before bed.
Before bed?
Yes.
Woo! Aunt Sylvia, You've got some guts.
She sure does, but this one isn't for you, girl. You probably want to skip this episode, go listen to Pappygate. That one's a lot easier to take in before you go to sleep.
All right. The show that we're talking about this week is called Fatal Destinations: Blood on Bourbon Street. It's season 1, episode 4, and I watched it on Max.
Same.
Now, the show is narrated by none other than Jessica Biel. Do you remember Jessica Biel?
I do, and I didn't know that she was narrating it. I had to really listen. Jen's right, that's her.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have known if I hadn't seen that in your notes.
So, the show starts out with a wide shot of the Mississippi River in New Orleans, followed by a drum line on Bourbon Street, partying, there's people drinking, there's people dancing, and this is New Orleans. And I am here for it. From the occult to the spooky stuff, the location, all of it. This is my kind of episode.
You crazy. Detective Harbin says New Orleans is a 24-hour fun festival.
Oh yeah, this is my kind of town.
He calls it an adult amusement park. And he says it's not everywhere you can get a drink at 5:30 in the morning. 5:30 in the morning.
When we went to New Orleans, Tina, I think we were drinking hurricanes at 5:30 in the morning.
There's no way I was up at 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, I don't know about that.
No way. So you're saying people, did you stay up till 5:30 in the morning? You know what? There was a night. There was a night when you left us. You did, right? There was a night when I went to the hotel before you did. Now I know what you were doing. So people are really up all night, or did they just start their day at 5:30 in the morning with a hurricane?
Hey, it is New Orleans. When in New Orleans?
I was shocked that places stay open that late. I went on Google Maps just to confirm, and yeah, there's several bars open 24 hours a day. Crazy.
It is crazy. While we're sitting here, I am drinking coffee out of my New Orleans mug, and I love it. I bought this on our trip.
That's a very cute, it's a Starbucks.
It
New
sure
Orleans.
is.
It's a very cute mug. Did you buy that on our trip?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that was so long ago.
I feel like Tina does not remember this trip at all. You remember the creepy dude?
No.
You remember the creepy dude that we had talked about in one of the other episodes down in New Orleans? Remember the vampire-looking guy who made you trip on the 2x4?
Telepathically? That guy? Yeah, I remember that guy.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that you remember from our trip.
I have very spotty memories from that trip.
See, I feel like that's the sign of a good time.
Or trauma.
But I mentioned the coffee because we are also on Buy Me a Coffee. You can search for us at Buy Me a Coffee, Two Crime Newsies. And we want to say thank you for this morning's coffee because one of our listeners ended up donating and we used that to buy us some coffee for this morning's recording.
Whoop, whoop.
So thank you very much. Now the setting for this show is New Orleans, Louisiana, if you haven't already picked up on that. Mm-hmm. I can honestly say it's one of my favorite places in the world. The rich food, the city is steeped in culture. There's live music coming from every corner. People having a good time and basically washing their worries away with hurricanes as they walk around the French Quarter. Now, in the shadows of St. Louis Cathedral, there's a more sinister side of New Orleans, which I'm totally here for, that can quickly tempt residents and tourists alike. We're talking from voodoo to ghosts and even vampires. The spirits run free in the Crescent City. And despite the French Quarter and famed Bourbon Street being well known for beads and good times, it was once the scene of one of the United States' biggest hubs in the slave trade. It's also the place where public executions and brutal punishments took place. You have the Lalaurie Mansion, sits in the heart of the quarter, as locals call it, and its gruesome torture chamber hides horrendous secrets inside. Now, on the show, Fatal Destinations, we hear from Sunny DeFunk, which I love that name.
That's a great name.
Isn't that cool? Uh-huh. Sunny DeFunk. She is the assistant DA of Orleans Parish. She says that New Orleans has every flavor of life that anybody is looking for. No one here has ever met a stranger, and the French Quarter is one of the best times anyone will have. Something Tina and I can both attest to. And Tina, me, and our friend Emily one year booked a random New Orleans New Year's trip, and we just had a great time.
That was like back in 2010-ish.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
That was the way to like ring in the new year. That was really good.
Sure, Jen.
For what you remember.
Oh. Yeah, I went to New Orleans. I believe this was my very first time.
It was your first time because I had been going basically that entire year. Remember? I was like monthly going to New Orleans.
I had no idea you were monthly going to New Orleans.
I was down there at least one weekend every month.
Well, I had no clue what I was in for. I'd heard about Bourbon Street and Mardi Gras, and I thought it was more of a touristy city, a festive place where you try new food, new drinks, and there's a party atmosphere. I thought the voodoo shops, Jen, were the New Orleans version of souvenir shops.
We hit up a lot of those because it's totally my jam.
I was not prepared for it to be full-on realness.
I dragged you in, though.
Yeah. Detective Harbin says there's a good side and there's a bad side of New Orleans. And I knew about the good side, and now I know about the bad side.
You sure do. Now, Assistant City DA Funk says at night, Bourbon Street takes on a whole life of its own. She says it serves its name very well. Bourbon Street. It's the kind of place lawlessness and inhibitions go away. And darn right, Miss Funk, I agree with you there. So this show starts basically on July 19th of 2003. Now, in the early morning hours of July 19th, police received a call saying that there was a dead man in a room at the Courtyard Marriott Hotel.
Not the Marriott! The housekeeper is the one that found him, and the detective says she was shaken up by what she saw. Oof. Also, thank you to Jessica Biel for telling us what room this was in at the Marriott. Room 266A. Noted. Do not stay in room 266A in New Orleans.
The assistant DA calls it a horrifying scene. And I feel like for a DA to say that it's a horrifying scene, like, it's gotta be bad. She says 34-year-old Sean Johnson was in a jacuzzi tub in the room and the bathtub water was blood red. We're told that Sean had been beaten very badly in the head, but that wasn't it. When police drained the tub, they found a broken bottle in the tub, and police suspected he had been beaten with that bottle in the head. Now, Police Detective Harbin, who Tina mentioned earlier in the episode, says that there was a Bible found on the floor, and all of the pages had been ripped out of the Bible, and those pages had been stuck on the walls of the room. Can you imagine seeing this? And that would be absolutely petrifying.
Yes. Detective Harbin says all of the cases he's handled, he doesn't know how to describe this type of evil. The assistant DA says it looks satanic.
Mm-hmm. And Sean Johnson is a father and overall great person to be around by all accounts. We learn on the show that he came to New Orleans from Atlanta to work as a stagehand for a convention. New Orleans is a convention city. There's conventions coming in and out of the city all the time. Now, he worked the convention and then decided to stay a few extra days to enjoy the city. Hey, why not? I would do the same thing. Now, Teresa Teague is Sean's former girlfriend. She says that police told her Sean's death could have been a cult murder.
Teresa tells us about Sean. She says he was open and friendly and no one was a stranger to him. He made friends everywhere. It's one of the things that she liked best about him. We also hear from Donald Call, Sean's best friend, who says Sean was a blast to be around. And we also find out Sean was a father to an 8-year-old son named Quinn. And we hear from Quinn. He's older now in the documentary, and he says about his father, you could always count on him to have a good time. He was a fun guy.
We saw pictures of the two of them, and they just looked like great people.
Yeah. We also hear that it was Sean's last night in the city when this happened. And this breaks my heart because I feel like he was so close to going back home and he didn't make it.
He did not make it. Police Detective Harbin says on the bed in the room, there was a creepy doll that looked like someone had made themselves because it had braids with what looked like human hair.
I just shivered.
You literally just did. And we hear on this show that the doll is called a familiar. And what a familiar is, people with family members who they don't associate with, that they make an inanimate object, in this case the doll, that they refer to as their family. And I find this fascinating. So if I don't have a relationship with somebody, it'd be as if I took a doll and stuck something from that person who I don't have the relationship with onto the doll, and then I project that they're my family member?
But I don't understand, if you don't have a relationship with someone, why would you want to carry around something about the non-relationship? Like, obviously there's a reason there's not a relationship.
Maybe
right?
It's not your choosing that you don't have the relationship.
Woo!
It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
We hear that the word familiar is associated with the occult, and there's legitimate voodoo shops in New Orleans. Woohoo! Yes, there are. Every time that I've been to New Orleans, I make it a point to hit up some of those shops and get either a tarot card reading or a palm reading done. When we were there, Tina, I had a palm reading done.
I remember.
I love it. I find it all so fascinating. And one of my favorite shops in the French Quarter is Reverend Zombie's Voodoo Shop on Royal Street, which is also mentioned on the show.
I did not get a palm reading.
You did not.
And fascinating, Jen, is not the word I would use. Things that make me smile, things that make me feel good, I find those things fascinating. You are fascinating. I remember going into that shop with you when we were in New Orleans. I didn't feel good.
No?
No, I felt bad. And I can't even describe how or why. All I can remember is when I walked out of the shop, I felt like a weight was lifted off my chest.
Okay.
That's the only explanation. Like, I didn't feel good inside, and I walked out, and I felt better.
Like you could breathe again.
I felt like I could breathe again.
Okay.
And I didn't want to ever go back. Logically, I think you can't have dark, right, without having light.
Yeah.
And you can't have bad without having good. Otherwise, how would you know what dark is, what light is, what good or what bad is?
Yeah.
Right. So using that logic, I like to embrace things that bring me goodness and light. And I turn away from the things that are dark. But I do also find it fascinating that now that I'm older, I can discern better between light and dark than I could when I was younger. Back then, I really did think, oh, it's a souvenir shop. I'm not even joking. I thought this was like a New Orleans souvenir shop with all the things, and I didn't comprehend what was happening here. Anyway, so Jen, if you need a beacon towards the light, I'm here for you. I will point you towards the light and away from all them souvenir shops in the French Quarter.
And I use souvenir shops with little quotes.
That's what I call them. It sounds so much better.
It sounds so much better. I love you, Tina. So on the show, we hear from Kurt Amaker, who's a former member of the Goth scene in New Orleans. And that's his CG. I love it. Former member of the Goth scene.
Oh, I missed that.
He says New Orleans has a connection to voodoo because of the slaves from Haiti who brought their religion with them. It has also a connection to supernatural beliefs. And I feel when you're in New Orleans, you get this sense that there are spirits all around
I
you.
definitely agree with that.
It's one of the things that I love most of the city. Like, you truly feel like when you're walking around the quarter that you are walking not only in history, but that there are spirits all around you.
There's an energy in the city.
There really is. And I also really enjoy going to like the cemeteries in New Orleans. Of course, the most famous of them is St. Louis Cemetery number 1, which is right in the heart of the quarter. Let's go back to the case now. I love New Orleans, if you can't tell.
I will say I did enjoy the cemetery tour. We did take that tour. I didn't feel like it was a bad thing. Like, these are places where people are resting.
I think it probably would have given you a little bit of a different feel if we had done it at night.
Oh, maybe. We did do it during the day, huh?
We did the cemetery one at night, and then we did the ghost vampire one.
Oh, cemetery during the day, ghost vampire at night.
Correct.
You're right. Ghost vampire one, that one was scary.
That one gave you a little bit of the creeps. All right, so back to the story. As police try to figure out what happened in the hotel room, the person in the room next to Sean's comes forward and tells police about something bizarre that he heard the night before. Police say that neighbor heard a loud bang and then a male voice shouting, "I am God and you are my servant," which is creepy. Tina, I have a feeling I know what you would do if you heard this from the hotel room next to yours. I have a feeling you'd be like, that's it, I'm out, like checking out right now, going back home.
Heck yes. Fight or flight mode activated, and I'm a flighter, not a fighter.
We hear that there's no fingerprints in the room. Shocking for a hotel room, right?
This is bizarre to me.
Because if you think about it, how many people are in a hotel room? I don't think as much as somebody can clean a hotel room, there's always, I feel like, some kind of surface that there will be a handprint on or a fingerprint or whatever. And so there's no fingerprints in the room. There's also no clear forensic evidence and no leads inside the room. Who may have done it, we hear on the show. So police start reviewing the hotel's CCTV surveillance video, and jackpot. At 5:30 in the morning, the surveillance video captures Sean walking through the hotel towards his room with 2 men and 2 women. And we hear that one of the women in the video had bright blonde hair, almost so bright that it looked like a wig. And all 4 people were dressed in Gothic clothing. We hear that the Goth scene became big in New Orleans in the early 90s. And it's perfect for New Orleans, in my opinion, because it's the celebration of macabre. And what better place to do it than in New Orleans? And I used to go to goth bars and clubs in New Orleans, and So much fun. So much fun. And we will get into that here in a couple of minutes, much to Tina's displeasure. And we hear from Assistant DA Funk that one of the people left the room 45 minutes into being at the hotel. Now, that 45 minutes equated to about 6:15 in the morning. And the other 3 people leave about an hour later between 7:15 and 7:30. And this is all recorded on that CCTV surveillance video from inside the hotel. Police put out video to the public asking for help. And then within 24 hours of doing that, the same person who left the hotel at 6:15 the morning of the murder, we hear is a woman named Kat. And Kat ended up walking into a police station in New Orleans and asked to speak with a detective. Now, I'm like, meow, Kat, like, tell me. I want to hear what Kat has to say. We hear that Kat told Detective Harbin that she had met Sean at a bar in the French Quarter called The Dungeon. And when they mentioned this on the show, I got so excited. Oh my gosh. I used to go to the Dungeon every single time that I went to New Orleans. It was one of my favorite bars in the city. And it's super awesome in there, in my opinion. You walk through this little courtyard to get into the bar. It's super dark and mysterious. Totally my thing.
You said I've been in the Dungeon.
Yes. So when we went to New Orleans for that New Year's, it was the one place that I was like, I have to take these girls there because it was so like my thing. I loved it. It's like dark and mysterious and broody and like, oh, it's so cool. Tina blacks this out and does not remember going there.
I really have no memory of this, like none. I've seen pictures of it online. I've seen what they show on this episode, and I don't have any memory of being in this place.
We went in, and we went to like the first bar, and then we went to the other bar inside of it, and we had one drink, and I remember you just kept like looking around, and Em was trying to like, I don't know, groove with the vibe. I don't know.
What's the vibe?
It's like
what kind
dark.
of music were they playing?
Oh, like loud, like heavy metal type music.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so I can see like in your head, it's probably like, doom, doom, doom.
That's
doom.
a lot.
And yeah,
a lot for my senses.
It is a lot for your senses. People overload. And you stayed for one drink. You were a really great sport.
Oh, thanks.
But then we left. And probably went to a voodoo shop.
Probably. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to just have one drink and then getting me out of there. I appreciate that. Sunny, the assistant DA, says the Dungeon prides itself on being part of the scary, dark ambiance of New Orleans. And then she adds with some attitude, it's dark, city, nasty, and stanky.
When I heard her say that on the show, I was like, what? What? I can get the like dark and seedy. I cannot get behind the nasty and stanky.
Was there an odor when we were in there?
No.
Did it look unclean?
It's so dark that truly I don't think you can tell.
Were your feet sticking to the floor when you were walking through?
I don't think so.
Okay, well then, okay. We also hear that Sean in this bar sticks out like a sore thumb. He's dressed casually in a t-shirt and jeans. Everyone else is in head-to-toe black.
I don't know if you remember my outfit for New Year's in New Orleans. So I had on this like tight black corset dress, and then the bottom of the dress was almost like black, like crow feathers. Do you remember that?
Kind of.
And then I had fishnet stockings on with my like Doc Marten boots.
Okay, yeah. And were other people dressed like this? I don't
bar,
remember.
Yes. At the bar, yes. Yes, you and Em were in your like Abercrombie.
I wish I could fit into Abercrombie, please.
But yes, I feel like when the three of us were walking down Bourbon Street and around the French Quarter, I feel like they were like, that's an interesting mix, those three.
So people were staring at us. Is that what you're saying?
Probably.
They were
fun.
Like we could be someone's lunch meat. So Layla, who told us about this episode, has also been to the Dungeon with her sister Loli.
Love it, Layla.
They would rate this place, Jen, 0 stars.
What? It's so fun.
So they first told me about their experience way before this episode came out. And I remember them saying that they thought they were going to be vampire dinner. And they got the heck out of there. So I asked them to tell me more about their experience after we watched this. And here's what they said. So Loli says it was sketchy, secluded, not far from Bourbon Street.
It's not far from Bourbon. Nope.
She remembers they walked down a long, narrow alley.
Yep.
That leads to a door.
Yep.
And had to knock to get in.
That's right.
And then she says a vampire opened the door.
Which is so funny because the time I took you guys there, we knocked on the door and the guy was like, "Oh, hi, it's you again. Haven't seen you in a while." Yeah. Yeah, that's what he said to me.
So he was friendly.
He was friendly.
Okay. She says it was dark and dirty and felt evil. She says it didn't look like there were tourists there.
Nope.
Everyone was dressed in dark goth clothing. And she says she remembers there were aquariums with plants, maybe a snake or a reptile. And they walked in and very soon after walked back out. Layla says creepy doesn't even begin to describe their short-lived experience. After the vampire lets them in, they walk through a courtyard area.
Yep.
So I guess you walk down the alley to the door.
So the way it was is you walk through the alley and there's like a little courtyard that opens up and that's where the door is and that's where you knock.
Okay, so alley to courtyard and then the door to the bar.
Yep.
Okay, so they walk through the courtyard area. She remembers tables being outside and this is how they got to the bar. And she remembers red lighting.
Yep.
Red liquid in science experiment looking equipment.
Behind the bar. Yep.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So this must be the aquariums, I'm in quotes, that Loli is talking
Yep.
about? Okay. She says, imagine trying to escape that sinister bar only to find yourself in the courtyard with pale, sharp-toothed dungeon regulars making fun of them as they got out of there as quickly as possible.
Also, it's really important to note that the dungeon didn't open up until midnight. You could not get in before midnight.
Oh, they did mention it was dark, so that makes sense. So I also reached out to a friend, Travis, who...
Is it the Travis that I'm thinking of?
I think so, who lived in New Orleans. Here's what he says about the dungeon. He loves the dungeon, by the way.
Samesies, Travis.
Okay, Travis says, I used to like how it was a no-photo establishment, but I think they allow photos now. Sad face. It's also a fairly secure place. They have cameras that run from the entrance all the way through, and even when it's packed, it's actually pretty safe.
Thank you, Travis. It's not a bad place to be.
He says they play nothing but hard, heavy, or dark metal, and that keeps a lot of tourists away.
That's right.
Sure, there's an occult element, but it is New Orleans. I dated a witch or two there.
I love it.
Shrug emoji. For tourists, this is what he says. Don't take pictures. Don't get into a cage when you're not invited.
Yes, so upstairs there's cages. And like inside the cages there's like benches and you can sit in the cages.
But only if you're invited?
So I've only sat in the cage like 2 or 3 times. Otherwise the cages were always full. The night that Tina, M, and I went, we did not get invited into a cage.
Okay, so he says, don't get into a cage when you're not invited, and don't try staying there 7 hours. Also, don't try the dungeon and the saint on the same night. You won't make it. I don't know what he means by that.
They're drinks.
Okay. They have
I think they're drinks.
I asked him more about the cages, and he said they have 2 partial cages. No big deal. It's not a swinger bar.
It is not.
So everyone stays fully clothed. And then he says, the dungeon is a fun place. I miss it. My liver misses it.
All right. So back to the story. So Kat, meanwhile, is talking to police at the police station. And she says at 2:50 in the morning, on the morning of the murder, they all met at the dungeon. We hear that Kat told police that she didn't know the others well, but she was able to give police their street names of the people who were seen in the video. Kat identified the blonde woman in the video as someone called Never, which we hear that Never was in fact wearing a wig. Then one of the men who went by the nickname Worry, and then a man named Benjamin. I guess Benjamin didn't have a cool nickname.
No.
Who we hear was just kind of like a tag along to the group. So we have Never, we have Worry, and then we have Benjamin.
We hear Sean was buying rounds of drinks, and his best friend, who they interview for the show, says they thought he was loaded with money, and they were looking to prey on that.
We hear from Sean's ex-girlfriend that when the dungeon was closing, he wanted to continue the party. So he invited them all to his hotel room.
Don't ever invite vampires in.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, tip. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't let them cross that threshold. Kat told police that Sean wanted to fill up the jacuzzi in his hotel room and take a champagne bath. Now, to me, that sounds super expensive. Like, that sounds like a majorly bad investment. I mean, no one is going to want to drink that champagne after people and their body germs have been soaking in that tub. Like, ew.
It's an interesting choice for sure.
Yeah. No, thank you.
I don't understand it.
No. Now, Detective Hartman says Sean poured the champagne in the tub, took off his clothes, and got into the tub and encouraged everyone else to join him. And it just sounds nasty to me. Like Puff Daddy stuff for sure right there.
Allegedly.
As the bathtub party is beginning, Kat told police that Sean and Never were getting a little too close and a little too cozy. And that's when Kat ended up leaving. But not before Never reportedly told her that she was going to miss all the fun. Yeah, I don't want to be there for whatever happens next at that point in time. Meanwhile, 700 miles away from New Orleans in the town of Bradenton, Florida, a secret lies. 6 days after Sean's murder, Detective Bill Waldron with the Manatee County Sheriff's Department says there was a woman at the hospital that reported that she had been sexually assaulted. We hear that she told police that she and her boyfriend had been kidnapped by a large white guy, and he had taken them to Bradenton and kept them hostage in a trailer. And we hear that the woman, who was named Carla Fry, managed to escape, but her boyfriend wasn't so lucky, and he had apparently been shot and killed, is what she had told police. Turns out there was no evidence at all of her being sexually assaulted, so Detective Waldron says he started pressing her on what really happened. And turns out Waldron says that Fry had come up with the story with her boyfriend because she needed to see a doctor for a UTI. What? Oh my gosh, she's the champagne woman at this point in time, is what I'm thinking. I bet she is. I mean, that champagne bath is bound to cause a UTI.
Oh my gosh.
Waldron says that he asked her for her boyfriend's name, to which she responded, Worry. There you go. I told you. Waldron says that Carla told him her street name was Never.
Okay. Oh. So she made up the whole story about the kidnapping and the boyfriend being shot. That didn't happen.
Did not happen.
And apparently she only knew her boyfriend as Worry. She was Never, and together they made Never Worry. They chose this on purpose. I think I would have chose something more like Always Peaceful. Choices, you know?
Hilarious. Detective Waldron says he pushed Never a little more, and she ended up confessing to witnessing a murder inside a room at the Marriott Courtyard Hotel in New Orleans.
Not the Marriott!
We hear that Never was at the dungeon and that Sean had been buying everyone drinks, and then they all went back to his hotel room and Carla got into the hot tub with Sean. And we hear from police that Worry grabbed a champagne bottle and started hitting Sean in the head. We then hear that Worry held Sean under the water and he ended up drowning in the tub.
Terrible. And we hear that this fit of rage from Worry came out of nowhere.
Waldron says that Never denied participating in the murder, and then Worry made arrangements for them to head to Florida.
Which is where Worry had grown up.
The problem is now, where is Worry? Never apparently told police she didn't know. What? You don't know where your boyfriend is? We see a note written on a sales receipt on the show from what looks to be like a restaurant of some sorts that says, Never. Sorry I took so long. I'll find you later. Love you. Worry. Carla Fry, also known as Never, ended up being charged with murder in the first degree. So at this point, we have one suspect who's locked up and two more to go. Worry and then the guy named Benjamin.
Also, we hear Carla, also known as Never, didn't show any emotion when she was charged. No crying, no remorse.
Day 9 after the murder. Now, this is July 29th of 2003. Detective Harbin says they got a tip that Benjamin's real name was Benjamin Anthony, and he apparently worked at a restaurant in the French Quarter. So police tracked him down, they went to his apartment, and he was taken into custody.
Detective Harbin describes Ben's apartment as unclean, unkempt, like someone without a purpose in life, and that makes me sad.
We hear that Benjamin Anthony said he was there the morning of the murder, and we see interrogation video of this, and I love a good interrogation video. I think it's fascinating. So Anthony is sitting across from police, and he's dressed in what looks like head-to-toe black clothing. Anthony says he was the one who ripped the Bible apart and was throwing the pages onto the walls. And apparently he didn't mean anything sinister by it, is what he says. He tells police that he was just bored. Detective Harbin says as Sean and Never were getting too cozy in that hot tub, and that's when worry hit Sean. Anthony apparently was in the tub when all this was happening. So in the tub, when Sean is being beaten, you have Sean, you have Never, and you have Benjamin. He's also in the champagne bath, you know, all the germs everywhere. He told police that he jumped out of the tub and ran over to put on his clothes, and he looked back and worry hit Sean a couple more times, and the water was all red.
Ben goes on to say that worry held Sean underwater, and that's when he yelled, "I am your God, you are my servant," which is exactly what the person in the room next door heard. Teresa, Sean's former girlfriend, says Sean was attacked from behind and he never saw it coming.
Detective Harbin asks Anthony what was Never doing at this point in time, and he says in the interrogation video she seemed happy and laughing about it.
And according to Ben in the interrogation video, he says Worry and Never told him, "Don't worry, we've done this before. It's all right now." What?
Oh, that they had done that before? That's scary. Anthony told police the doll belonged to Carla Fry, also known as Never, and she panicked because she had forgotten the doll in the hotel room.
I also find it weird, Jen, that there were no prints on the doll. They couldn't find,
right.
Yeah, they couldn't find prints anywhere. Also, Sonny, the assistant DA, says at this point, they are starting to realize that this isn't some satanic ritual or an occult murder. She says it's more of a chaotic scene with choices being made by people in this Gothic community. And we hear Ben is terrified of Worry and Never after they leave the hotel, and he thinks he could possibly be their next victim, which is why he didn't call the police to report Sean's murder.
Benjamin Anthony was charged with Sean's murder. So at this point, you're 2 down and 1 to go. The question everybody wants to know is, where is Worry? And we hear from Detective Waldron again, who says police believe that Worry was hiding out in Ruskin, Florida, after a man matching his description was reported to have robbed his mother. And we hear that Worry's real name is Chris Lane, and police got a break when a childhood friend of Lane's called police with a tip saying Worry is at Denny's right now. And so police went to the restaurant and arrested him. And again, we see interrogation video, love it, of Worry after his arrest. And in the video, he says he remembers Never and Sean and Ben in the hot tub, and he was sitting on the couch and he drifted off to sleep. Now, he also says the next thing he knows, Ben's like, "We've got to go," and Never had hit the guy with a champagne bottle a bunch of times. And Worry told police that Never was playing with the blood on Sean's face. And at this point, police are not buying this story. Chris Lane, also known as Worry, was arrested and charged with murder. Benjamin Anthony ended up taking a plea deal and was sentenced to 4 years in prison. And in August of 2005, Carla Fry, also known as Never, was found guilty of negligent homicide and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Chris Lane, meanwhile, the guy who is known as Worry, ended up pleading guilty to manslaughter and robbery and was sentenced to 45 years in prison. Now, I did some digging after watching this episode, And I found out that Chris Lane, according to Fox8livenews.com, Chris Lane, also known as Worry, committed suicide in 2013 while in Angola State Prison in Louisiana.
The show didn't tell us this.
They did not. No.
You uncovered something that they did not. Come on, Jessica Biel. It's not like this thing aired, 10 years ago.
And get this, I did some more digging because I wanted to know where these people ended up, right? And get this, back in 2023, Carla Fry, who we have referred to as Never throughout this, was out of prison and she was up to more mischief. I found this on the Lagnapi Daily newspaper that on March 10th of 2023, Carla Fry, who's also known as Never, was arrested for stealing a fire hydrant in Mobile, Alabama. Apparently around 5:30 in the morning, police got a call about suspicious activity involving the theft of a fire hydrant. And when police caught up with the vehicle that was suspected of the theft, they found Carla Fry inside with the fire hydrant. I can't help but laugh. And some drugs and some guns. I'm like, when I was reading this, I was like, why in the world would you steal a fire hydrant?
That's some superhuman strength. I mean, aren't fire hydrants bolted down and aren't they heavy?
I mean, looking at one, I would think it would be heavy.
The bolt alone looks heavy.
Yeah, I just want to know, why try to steal, or not try, why steal a fire hydrant?
In the world are you going to do with the fire hydrant at 5:30 in the morning?
As my kids would like to say, what in the world is in my whiskers?
I've never heard that.
And so as I'm doing all this digging into Chris Lane and Carla Fry, I tried to find out what happened to Benjamin Anthony, the other guy in the video, and I couldn't find anything on him online. And what a crazy, absolutely crazy case this was. And I want to say thank you again to one of our listeners for getting in touch with us and suggesting we cover this one. I'm like, keep them coming, people.
Yes, it was a heavy episode. I feel like, Jen, we should leave our listeners with some encouraging words.
Yes, encourage away, and I'm going to find us our review.
Okay, so this episode ends with Sean's loved ones, Teresa, his son Quinn, and his best friend Donner, talking about how much they miss Sean and what a light he was. May you all, our listeners, be bright, shining lights in this world. May your lights always outshine the darkness.
Look at you.
Even you, Jen.
You love me.
I do.
I keep it interesting.
I love your sweet little Slytherin soul.
We've been reading some reviews that people leave us on whatever podcasting platform you're listening to this podcast on. I'm going to read us a review off of Spotify that someone named Silka left us. Silka says, this episode was awesome and eye-opening. Who could have ever thought that a popular clothing company had so many dark secrets and scandals associated? Very well reported. I give 5 stars to Tina and Jen. Keep it up. Thank you so much, Silka.
Woohoo! 5 stars.
I love reading these reviews from our listeners. It just brightens up my day.
I know. It's so fun. If you want to leave us a review, please do. 5 stars, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, definitely. And if you want to help us out and contribute to our coffee fund, you can visit our donation page at buymeacoffee.com/Two Crime Newsies. We really appreciate it. These podcasts shockingly take a lot of time to do.
To produce, yes. Between you and I, Jen, we are working a full-time job.
Yes, basically on each one of these podcast episodes. So it helps us out a lot if you enjoy listening to us. And we would also love to hear from you, just like this listener recommended today's episode. If you have a show in mind that you really enjoy that think we might like, send us an email to crimenewsies@gmail.com. You can message us on Instagram, Two Crime Newsies, on Facebook, also Two Crime Newsies. And we'd love to hear from you. And with that, we will be back for another episode next week. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.